Two Midwest pastors have started a national debate on a wide variety of social issues that they believe threaten the future of society and the planet. Exploitation of the earth, spiritual terrorism, religious imperialism, and racism are just some of the modern-day injustices that the two pastors will battle with the Turtle Island Project that promotes respect for Native American culture and the environment.
To combat what I call spiritual terrorism. And spiritual terrorism is something I think that exists in all cultures, not simply the Islamic culture or the Christian culture, but all cultures have their own forms of various forms of spiritual terrorism. We do too here in the United States.
The Turtle Island Project was formed to spark a national debate and discussion on a wide range of Native American and Indigenous peoples' issues, with a focus on how those earth-based cultures can teach modern-day faithful to protect the environment and respect each other's religions.
And I think there's a lot of spiritual intolerance that's going on in this country. And part of that intolerance manifests itself in the intolerance of other people's religions, whether that's the indigenous Native American religions here in the United States, or Islam, or Judaism, what have you.
For me, the Turtle Island Project is an opportunity for us to rediscover our deep connections with all of creation, particularly this place we call Turtle Island, or North America. Part of that process is to deeply engage our Native American or First Nations friends as our teachers. These are people who have lived for many centuries in this place and have wisdom that folks from Europe just have lost.
The founders of the Turtle Island Project are Project Director Reverend Dr. Lynn Hubbard, an evangelical Lutheran pastor, and Turtle Island Project Board Chairman George Cairns, an ordained United Church of Christ minister. Reverend Hubbard has close ties to the Lakota Sioux tribe at the Rosebud and Pine Ridge reservations. Reverend Cairns is well-versed in Celtic spirituality, centering prayer, and their integration into a theology of practical action for healing, justice, and peace.
Part of what will happen, I believe, is that we will recover very early dimensions of earth spirituality that have been integrated into Christianity, but later have been lost.
Reverend Hubbard said the Turtle Island Project hopes to create a profound change in environmental thinking. Reverend Hubbard said Christians can learn from other religions.
It's my way or the highway. My religion's right, your religion's wrong. And it's that sort of spiritual terrorism, I think, that is destroying the world in which we live in.
Reverend Hubbard said the planet is facing an environmental crisis that must be repaired, or humans will bring about our own destruction because of the abuse of nature.
In a sense, that's a good idea, right? That we should take care of nature. But the problem with that is that it turns nature into a commodity. It turns nature into property. We are not the stewards of nature. We are part of nature. I'm not better than the animal nations. I'm part of the animal nations. You see, that's quite a different idea than is coming out of many Native American traditions, where God comes to Native American peoples through the animal nations. God comes to Native American peoples through sacred space in which they experience a hierophany, an appearance of God.
One of the pillars of the Turtle Island Project is the creation of a new North American theology that the pastors hope will encourage religious tolerance and a new respect for nature. Reverend Cairns says he hopes the Turtle Island Project inspires Americans to rediscover very early dimensions of Earth spirituality that have been integrated into Christianity but later have been lost. Reverend Cairns, who lives in Chesterton, Indiana, said Celts believe God to be constantly recreating the world.
Well, what we're doing is attempting to develop a new theology. In particular, I know of the Celtic tradition that place is extremely important. There is a sacredness to particular places. People relate to them deeply. We've lost much of that in contemporary American culture, and we've lost much of that in our religious institutions.
The North American theology will include a list and information on sacred places submitted by the public. These sacred places will run the gamut from well-known locations of beauty to local lakes, parks, and forests to inner-city neighborhoods. Those sacred places will be listed on a website.
I think a new American theology will have as one of its key elements a reconnection with the sacredness of, and the particular sacredness of, the various places we inhabit here in North America. We have distanced ourselves more and more from nature. Nature has become much more of an it rather than a thou. It's an object rather than a subject. And this is increasringly being sped up by the modern technological world. So we not only are ill in that we don't see our relationships with nature, but what's really of great concern is that we're growing ill at much more rapid pace because of this rupture of having any kind of intimate relationship with the world.
The Turtle Island Project will hold a series of regional conferences and seminars. A Native American roundtable will be held at 7 p.m. Eastern Time on the Thursday prior to each regional conference, and at other times to be announced. The agenda of the roundtables will be set completely by First Nations peoples. While studying for his doctorate in South Dakota, Reverend Hubbard became friends with Lakota people on the Rosebud and Pine Ridge Indian reservations. The latter was the scene of the infamous Wounded Knee Massacre in 1890, which claimed the lives of many innocent Lakota women and children. Both the Rosebud and Pine Ridge Indian reservations are beset by extreme poverty, teen suicide, high infant mortality, and other social problems. The Turtle Island Project cares deeply for the plight of Native Americans at all reservations across the country. In August 2007, the Turtle Island Project arranged for a benefit concert for America's oldest and first American Indian battered women's shelter in Mission, South Dakota, that has served the Lakota Rosebud Reservation for nearly 30 years. Two Upper Peninsula folk groups, Whitewater and Duo Borealis, held the free concert for the White Buffalo Calf Women's Society at the Custer Lutheran Church in Custer, South Dakota. The White Buffalo Calf Women's Society battles domestic violence, teen suicide, and sexual assault. The Rosebud Reservation's teen suicide and sexual assault rate are shocking. 21 rapes in the past 18 months and over 600 attempted teen suicides and 15 deaths during the past 2 years. Most were teenage boys. Those suicides triggered a state of emergency declared by Rosebud tribal officials. The Rosebud problems, poverty, depression, a lack of jobs, drugs, alcohol, and other social issues were among the reasons for the suicides. All Turtle Island Project conferences and seminars are free and open to the public. All Native Americans and Indigenous peoples are encouraged to contact the Turtle Island Project to set the agenda for the roundtables. For a complete listing of Turtle Island Project events, please go to our website. That's turtleislandproject.org. You can write the Turtle Island Project at Post Office Box 360, Munising, Michigan, 49862, or call Reverend Hubbard at 906-387-2520. I'm Greg Peterson, and you're watching Turtle Island TV.